Hi, Andrea. I think it's just me today.
Is
Yeah,
it?
basically, Amy's had an emergency appointment, and she said she's so sorry for the short notice, but she's having to cancel. And then um, Callum's got uni work, and then um, Gemma's got a deadline. So yeah.
Right. How do you feel about just having a session on your own?
Well, I don't
Oh,
mind as long as you don't mind. I don't want to be wasting your time. Do you know what I mean? If you've got like a
yes.
deadline to meet or anything.
No, not any self-imposed ones, so that's okay.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be quite good to be fair. So yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, no. So, how have things been? How's the week been?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been busy. March has been pretty busy to be fair. But yeah, I keep forgetting what I've done. It's just like every day is like the same but different. It's just yeah. But yeah, it's been fine. How about your
Yeah.
week?
Oh no, that's the same. Much the same.
Yeah.
The same. It's really busy, and but yeah, it is Monday. Kids have gone back, so
Oh yeah. How do you
the
feel about
house is
that?
quieter, so that's all a bit weird. But
Oh
yeah,
gosh,
used to that.
yeah. So it's kind of nice in a way, but then also like you kind of miss them a bit.
Yeah, I do really. I
Yeah.
do.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I mean, they're very self-sufficient, but it's nice to have them bobbing around.
Yeah, are they all teenagers? So yeah.
Yeah, my eldest is 17, so I have a 17-year-old, nearly 16, and nearly 14-year-old.
Okay, so were they quite good with the homeschooling? Like you didn't really need to sort of help out or anything?
Oh gosh, no, I
I
just
was gonna say, that's good.
oh,
You need to do that.
thankfully,
Yeah, God, I don't know
yeah,
what I'd
yeah.
do. Yeah, it'd be a nightmare. But anyway,
My standard answer is there not somebody else you can ask, or can you just Google that? I'm sure there's somebody.
exactly. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I like that.
So, what would you like to meet today about? This is a whole hour that's all about you now.
I
Oh,
don't
that's
know.
good.
I don't know. I suppose what you normally do one-to-one sessions. Really, I don't know.
Well, usually in a one-to-one, let's think about the things that we've covered already, like in some of the sessions,
Yeah.
and anything that you've maybe noticed, and things that maybe you still find challenging that you can see. Sometimes people think, well, I can see how this works in theory, but it's not really working in real life, and I don't see how it would apply to this situation, or it wouldn't apply to that situation. So that can be quite useful. Those conversations can be quite helpful.
Yeah, I would agree with that to some degree. Like it's actually just putting it into practice. But I do feel like I'm starting to worry a little bit less about things. Um, Especially I think like after the sessions because it's like fresh in my mind sort of thing. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think of like an example, but um, yeah, like I don't know, like I just feel like I've spent less time worrying about like work with when I've got like a hard deadline to meet. Spent less time like worrying about it. Um, I just can't think of any examples. That's the problem. Um,
That's, let's
yeah.
see what comes. What part of the course did you find the most fascinating so far?
Um, I think the fact that like I think the most interesting thing was like we sort of create our own reality almost. So our thoughts obviously create like our life. Is that correct? Yeah, in a way, I found that really interesting because I kind of always thought like I'm not I've obviously we've touched on this before, but like I've always just believed that I'm not a confident person because everyone's kind of told me that, and I've just believed that. But I found it interesting that we've all got confidence in us. It's not just like a case of you've been born confident and not confident. I thought that was really interesting. Um, yeah, really interesting.
And how does that feel inside you though? Does it feel true to you?
Yeah, I feel like just knowing that that everyone does have confidence gives me the confidence to believe that like I could have more confidence if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because I've just never really looked at it that way before, so it's like really interesting.
Yeah. Well, that seems to me like quite a nice place to start. if that's somewhere where you'd like to start.
Yeah, that's good with me, yeah.
Yeah. So is confidence something that you've experienced? Do you experience confidence?
Um,
Do you feel confident sometimes?
yes, like I've probably touched on this before, like in certain situations, like socially, I'm pretty confident, I'd say. But in work situations and like in school and stuff, and yeah, in meetings and things like that, I feel like I'm not very confident. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, socially, I'm pretty confident, but
Yeah, that's interesting then, isn't it? So we've got confident Jen when you're just with people who, I'm assuming if it's sociable, they kind of know you really well.
yeah, so it depends. Yeah, basically, it depends on who I'm around. Like, so certain groups of people, I can be like really confident in myself, and then other kinds of people, I can just like close off and like put that barrier up, and I'm just not myself, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. So how do you know that you're not yourself?
Because I'll be really quiet and not really contribute much to the conversation, and just feel like I start overthinking. I just think if I say this, then it'll come across wrong, or I won't be able to articulate what I want to say properly. And that's a big thing of mine as well, being able to articulate what I want to say. Like, I think that's why I'm a writer, because I can write down things, but when it comes to speaking, sometimes I don't feel like it comes to me very naturally. Like off the cuff, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
I
very
do.
good off the cuff.
Are you good off the cuff when you're with your friends?
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Do you think about what you have to say when you're
Oh
with your
no, that's the thing. I don't think about it. Yeah, I don't think about it because I'm obviously like relaxed, and yeah. Whereas I think I just immediately like freeze up and then start overthinking in other situations, and I can't. Yeah, I just think, oh, I won't be able to think of anything straight away. Like I'll be like, oh well, what if I can't think of anything, and then I can't think of anything, and then yeah.
So when you're relaxed, it just comes naturally.
Yeah, I would say most of the time, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's really good to notice that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's how all human beings are. Like we don't have to think, do we, about what we're going to say? It just kind of comes out.
yeah. And then it makes me wonder, but why can I do that? Why is it like that in social situations, and then why am I completely different in other situations? Why can't I just do that?
Yeah. So Jen, in her natural state, is kind of confident and she can speak and it all comes naturally to her.
Yeah, I'd say in most part. I still feel like sometimes I can't articulate what I want to say properly, um, even with friends. But yeah, in most part, I would say.
But when you can't articulate something, are you feeling relaxed then?
Probably not. Mm. It's a hard to think of that one, actually. No, yeah. Probably not, no.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah,
So if we take that away, then Jen in her natural state, the conversation just flows and she's confident.
yeah.
Okay, so now let's look at what takes you out of that natural state. So when you're doing that, I can't articulate, what's going in your mind?
Probably like, oh, well, these other people can speak really clearly, and they're really intelligent, and they're saying all these like really like, thought-provoking things that I probably can't contribute. Like I'd have to go away and think about it and then come back rather than just saying it. Yeah, it's like, if like say you have like again, it depends on who's in the meeting or whatever, but if you had like a brainstorm meeting and someone sent like, whoever organized it sent out like a a brief on what like the meeting was going to cover, then I could go away and think of stuff. But if someone's like, oh, we're going to have a brainstorming meeting and we're not going to, they don't tell you what it's about, and then they ask you, I'm like, oh, I can't think of anything.
Okay, so if you're with your friends,
Yeah.
right, and you're, you know, it's back in the day when you could go out and have a glass of wine and sit in a pub and,
Oh yeah.
one of those times, yeah, and you were brainstorming, I don't know, where to go away for the weekend.
Yeah.
You were all coming up with ideas. Would you need notice of that?
No, definitely not.
Yeah, you would just kind of come out all your ideas, yeah?
Yeah, they would, yeah.
So what do you think the difference is between that and when you're in a meeting?
Because I'm relaxed, probably. I'm not thinking about what other people think of me as much, because like I'm with my friends and they know who I am. I think, yeah, this probably boils down to me like caring too much about what other people think as well, and like of me embarrassing myself. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? So
Yeah.
when we're worried about what other people are thinking about us, how does that make you feel?
Well, I suppose like anxious and like closed off, and not very confident. And I suppose you compare yourself as well.
And how does that feel?
Not very good, I suppose. Quite like negative. Yeah, quite negative.
Do you think you're listening to what's going on when you're listening to that narrative?
No, I'm probably just listening to what's going on in my head rather than what's going on around me.
What do we need to be able to do to have a conversation with somebody?
What do you mean, like?
Well, what's the kind of, when I'm having a conversation with you, yeah, and so I speak, and what's the other part of speaking?
Listening.
Listening, so then I know what to say back.
Yeah, that's
But
it. Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes I will listen to some degree, but I'll probably still have the thoughts running around. So maybe I'm not listening 100%.
yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you think might happen if you were like listening like 100%? So you were like really just present in the conversation and you weren't paying attention to what was in your head.
I think then I would probably say things without even thinking. If I would, but yes, it's interesting because I don't think I've ever really felt like that unless it's in a social situation. But yeah, that's true. If I was actually like 100% listening, I probably would just like say stuff off the cuff without thinking. Yeah, that's interesting.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Mm. But then it's like, how do you stop those thoughts from coming in? But then, yeah,
In a different way.
yeah.
What information do you think is in any of those thoughts? What do you think can tell you?
What it can tell me?
Yeah, what do you think? Can those thoughts tell you anything?
No, it's not going to do anything really other than make me anxious.
Do we know what other people think?
No. And yeah, I suppose this goes back to like, you'll never know what people think, really.
Even if they go, oh, Jen, that was a rubbish thought, they could go and have a cup of coffee and think, oh, actually, I think there might be something in what she's just said.
Yeah, I think I almost like look at people's body language and then like, oh God, they hate that, and then stress about that, and then form an opinion in my head of what they've thought. But actually, I could be completely wrong.
There's a thought.
Yeah.
Could be thinking about a tea.
Yeah, exactly. And I might be looking at them thinking, oh God, they're so bored.
Yeah. Well, they might be thinking, oh, this is boring, but that's not a reflection on you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Like, we never, I know you've mentioned this before, and I need to remember that. Like, you never actually know what people think. So, like, it shouldn't matter. And that's something that I really need to get used to. I think, yeah, if I can sort of, that's interesting. Because if I could get used to that, I think that would definitely help.
But we can even take it even one step further than that. You know, when we're looking at thought, it's just an energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It changes.
Yeah.
It comes and it goes. It's up to us whether we pay attention to it or not.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah, their thought is their thought. And their thought might create an experience for them. It's the best that they can do with their thought. But even that, it's no reflection on us. They're just saying, oh, this is how I see the world right now.
Yeah, and I suppose people are always going to view the world differently anyway, so you can't please everyone.
I would think that would be impossible to even try.
So yeah, even if you delivered something perfectly, someone could still think negatively about it. But yeah, if you don't know what they think, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, I deliver a lot of stuff to a lot of people, and I'm always amazed at how it lands with people, how differently it lands with people.
Yeah.
I'm like, were you all on the same call?
Does it ever surprise you as well? Like, do you think certain people would react like a certain way and then they react differently?
But to be honest, I try not to think about
I don't think, yeah, it's good.
how I think about how it, but sometimes I kind of think, wow, and even the other way, I think, wow, you heard that in what I've just said,
Yeah, cool.
and it just goes that everyone is just creating their experience with the thoughts they have in their head in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it is true. It's interesting. This is kind of like unrelated in a way, but like my mum brought these she'd been sorting out the loft and she gave me these old like assignments from uni and like English books from school, because she was like, do you want them or shall I throw them away? And I was like, oh, actually I'll keep them. And I looked through them and I was like, oh my God, like I actually feel it gave me like a real confidence boost looking through like the comments and stuff. And I remember thinking like, at certain points in uni I wasn't doing very well. I think it was like second year, but I actually had like some really good feedback and then I had some like, I got a few firsts and a few things, and there was like loads of really good feedback on it, and I was like, I viewed this when I look back on it, I'm like, and in school as well, I thought like, I never really thought I was like did that well really, but then I was looking through my English books and every time I had like really positive comments. I'm like, what? Do you know what I mean?
I do. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, so that was really interesting to look through.
And so what did you make of that?
Well, it made me think about what you said before, like how we view things differently, remember things differently. Yeah. I can't remember. You said some. My memories. This is the thing. My memories were rubbish. But you said some really good. What did we talk about when we were saying like?
Well, how does it feel to you? It doesn't really matter what the words that I said, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, it felt. It gave me an actually like it honestly made me feel like it gave me a confidence boost because I was actually like, oh, actually, I'm cleverer than I think I am. Because I did all right, to be fair. Like, yeah.
So that's interesting, isn't it? I'm cleverer than I think I am.
Yeah.
So how much information is in the thoughts that you have about yourself?
Yeah, a lot of it's probably not true, really. Yeah, I think I just focus sometimes. I always forget about the positives and focus on the negatives. Yeah. Because the negatives stand out more in your mind, but there's probably far more positives than there are negatives. But yeah, the thought still sticks out.
Yeah, well, to me, we're kind of up against it in our own mind, to be honest, because we have this part of our brain that kind of logs all the experiences where we feel a bit disrupted.
Yeah.
So, and that stems from way back when we were like a cave woman, because they're caveman, but we weren't cavemen, we were cave women. And we had our limbic brain is there just to keep us safe, and we still have that. But it was really there to remind us, that saber-toothed tigers will kill us, so don't go near it. And then fire is hot and it burns, and knives are sharp, and things like that. But how our brain kind of seems to interpret that is it logs every single disruptive experience. Every time we feel a little bit stressed or reactive or unhappy, or anytime we activate that kind of sympathetic nervous system, it's like, oh, I'm going to have to remember this. So it remembers memory, right? So it feels like we remember more of the bad stuff than the good stuff. The good stuff's still there. We still remember all of that. It just feels like we remember it all.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But also we tend to see what we want to see, because that's the other part of how our brain works. So it filters things out for us because we're bombarded with so much information. It's like 50 billion bits of information per second. And we see about 2,000 bits. So how do you think we might filter out what we think is useful? What do you think we use to do that?
Is it memory? I don't know.
It's even simpler than that.
Past experience. Thought.
You got it. Thought. We literally, when we pay attention to a thought, we see what we get. Now, I wonder what thoughts you had at university.
Probably a lot of stress and thinking that I wasn't gonna like succeed and pass the course, even though I did. Yeah.
So what do you think your brain would have filtered out then?
What? Sorry, say that again. What
do you think your brain would have filtered out?
All the good stuff. Yeah.
That seems to make sense to me. Does that make sense to you? Having like look back at all your stuff now with different eyes, literally different eyes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I think at the third year I did really well, like in quite a lot of my stuff. I got a lot of firsts, but it was like second year I didn't think I'd done that well, but like I still had actually like really good pieces of feedback there. And I think if I'd posited up, like looked at the positives in that, I would have felt a lot less stressed out.
So if we go back to the beginning of this conversation, and we were talking about Jen in her natural state, how do you think, I mean, and of course we're making this up, but just for the purposes of the exercise, how do you think natural Jen would have viewed her time at uni if Jen was in her natural state?
Pretty productive, and she'd done pretty well.
Yeah. Do you think she would have seen it in a more balanced way?
Yeah.
So do you see, it's not really about focusing on the positives or having more positive thoughts or less negative thoughts. In our natural state, when we're not buying into all of the stuff that's in our head, we have a really balanced view of our lives.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I was just thinking, again, going off tangent here, but like yesterday I had like because I don't know, I've been feeling a bit like just like a bit over lockdown really, but yesterday, normally on Sunday I'm like, oh, Sunday blues, work to do on Monday, but I like really I occupied myself and like listened to a Louis Theroux podcast, like read some of my book, like got loads of productive things done, and I had like a really good day, and I was like, I need to do this more often again because I didn't have time to think about stuff. And it reminded me that it made me think that because I'm not overthinking, and I had a positive day, because a good day, because I was like not overthinking.
And that's what's important to notice.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a positive day because your whole day was filled.
Yeah.
Because you went from one thing to the next thing and you didn't give yourself a chance to think. You had a good day because you didn't buy into the overthinking.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. Yeah. It could have gone a completely different way if I did buy into the overthinking, but not that it would have, like, it wouldn't have been, I would just been like, you know, not as happy. But yeah. Yeah, no, that's interesting as well.
So I'm just wondering what your experience would be like if you were in your natural state more often, or noticed your natural state more often.
I think I'd be a lot less worried. I think my problem is I'm just like, I worry a lot. Yeah, and just, yeah. Even, I'm not unhappy, I just, I'd be happier, I suppose. Even happier, yeah.
So when you say you worry, what does worrying really achieve for you?
It doesn't achieve anything. I suppose in some ways it can like motivate you to get things done. So yeah.
Does it? Or do you just stop worrying and then you get on with it?
That's true, yeah, you have to stop worrying in order to get it done. So yeah, maybe not. Yeah, basically it's kind of, and most of the time it is pointless worrying, because the moment goes and you do whatever you need to do, and you get whatever you need to do finish, and then you completely forget about it, and then you look back and you're like, why did I worry about that? It was absolutely fine. So yeah. Exactly what you were saying.
We will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all been there. All been there. But it's good to notice, isn't it, that actually after the event you think to yourself, well, why did I worry about that? And you can see that there's no information in that worry.
Mm. Yeah.
Is it that you think that by worrying, the bad things won't happen?
Yeah, it's almost like I want to try and like find answers to things to almost, yeah, be then less worried.
You ever had that situation where you were going to do something, I don't know, like a presentation, or you're going to go to a meeting or something, and then you're in the shower and you think, oh, I must do such and such, and then later on that proved to be really important?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one time going, and I don't know why this sticks in my mind, but I had a hearing in court, and for some reason it popped in my mind that I needed an extension lead. So I took my laptop with me because I typed my notes, and I thought that was really random, and I had no idea about the principles or anything, but it was so insistent in my mind that I thought, well, I always took a suitcase with me filled with all my notes and everything, like a wheelie bag, and I thought, well, I'll just chuck it in. And when I got to the tribunal, there was no plug near me and I needed the extension lead.
That's yeah, that's pretty like weird, isn't it? Is that like your intuition kicking in?
I
Yeah.
would say deeper intelligence, isn't it? That kind of nudges us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty extreme experience, and that's probably why it sticks in my mind. But so often, like little coincidences, or what my intellect will think are coincidences, will happen, things that occur to me that seem relevant later.
Yeah. That's interesting. So it's like good to take note of that, I suppose.
As well as knowing that you've got that inside you.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it's a bit like, I don't know, trying to work out where to go and pulling out a whole ton of really old maps, right? And rifling through them. And they're all hopelessly out of date because they're all printed. And as soon as they're printed, they're out of date. And, some of them go back to when you were like 16. And you're all trying to work out, where am I going here? Am I going there? Do I need to take this turn? Do I need to take that turn? But what if this here? What if that's there? And you've got no answers because it's all out of date. Yeah, that's kind of like how our intellect works. And then someone comes along and says, you do know that you've got an inbuilt sat nav. And would you carry on and keep using the maps?
Well, it depends if you trust them or not.
What if you knew that the sat nav was really trustworthy?
You use the sat nav.
What if you knew that that was up to date and it was for now? It was for this moment. It worked in this moment. In real time. It could help you.
You'd use it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not to use it.
Yeah, it makes exactly. Yeah, exactly. It makes sense not to use it.
So when we're worrying, that's a bit like rifling through the maps.
Yeah.
How many times do all the things that we worry about, how many of them just never happen?
Obviously, like the majority.
Yeah. What could you do with all that time?
Yeah.
And all that energy?
Yeah. Could be enjoying things, doing more things that make you happy.
Listen to more podcasts.
Yeah, listen to podcasts, exactly. Yeah, so it's almost like trusting your like intellect and your intuition.
Well, it's funny because it looks a bit like trust.
Mm.
I can understand. I used to think it looked a lot like trust, but it's just there, and it makes sense to follow it. And I think when we first kind of see it operating, it does feel like, well, I don't know whether to trust this because I'm so used to doing all this thinking and all this worry. It can feel a little strange not to do it, or just go, no, I'm not doing that today, and just kind of not paying attention to the thoughts that pop in. And it can feel a little bit strange because it can feel quite quiet. Because I mean, what I find often is, if I've got something to do and it's something that I would normally have worried about, but I can just get on and do it, and there's no worry, and there's nothing particular that I need to be concerned about. My intelligence isn't telling me that there's anything I need to be concerned about. Well, then I've got all this space, and it's space I would have filled up. So that can feel really nice because it's quite peaceful.
Yeah.
I wonder what would happen to, I'm just thinking about maybe when you have a deadline or something, what would happen to like the kind of the quality of your work, or the creativeness of your work, if you had more space?
It would be even better. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I know your work's good anyway, but I'm just thinking, well, I wonder what would happen if you had all that space.
Yeah, because you'd be even more focused.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think would happen if things didn't really go to plan, but you had space in your head?
Well, I think you'd feel calmer about the situation. And then be able to rectify it. Whereas, like, because I panic quite a lot when things go wrong. So like I'll go, I'll just literally like in my head be like, have this like pang of panic, and then I freak out. But then it takes me. But then I know that like in a few hours' time I'll be fine. Like I'll calm down and I've had time to reflect.
It's such a good spot. That is such a good spot. I don't
Yeah.
know if you heard what you said then. I notice where I am. I know that I'm going to be okay in a couple of hours once I've had a chance to reflect.
Yeah.
Right? You know where you are, like you're in that in a state of mind that isn't helpful. We're not designed to be in this kind of Zen state all the time, right? And we've got this amazing gift that allows us to notice that. So we know. So it's like, oh yeah, it's gone wrong. Well, I'm just going to have a break because I'm not in a good state of mind to look at this now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's like I need to sort of like tell myself to do that more. Actually, after I think a session a few weeks ago when we were talking about like we were just discussing when we felt like stress, or I think Callum was talking about like deadlines and things like that. Um, I remember you saying like just take, you know, when you're tired, like noticing that you're tired, and then just saying you're taking that time to have a break and then just go back to it. And I actually did that. Like I remember that I think it was like the following week, and it definitely made a difference. And it definitely made a difference. And it was absolutely fine, like just having a break and then coming back to it the next day, because I still managed to get it done.
It's not good to notice.
Yeah. But then I also think about like, you know, like for example, like situations like for example, like I used to be I'm much better driving now, but I used to get really like lost, even with Google Maps, and like used to freak out, you know, if I'd gone the wrong way, and like just really panic. And I knew I'd be all right later on and like and stuff, but in that moment I'd really stress out, and then it would like affect my driving. So it's like trying to work out, I suppose, like what you said, just remembering that things will be all right. Knowing how, like what.
From what I'm hearing, you're pretty good at telling yourself that already. You just mentioned it twice.
Yeah.
So you know that you're going to be all right. You know, our inbuilt system is remarkable. You know, it coaches us. It coaches us in the moment. So you can be having a complete meltdown whilst also kind of knowing that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're just in the experience of reacting. And the more we see that that's our system, right? That's your intelligent system working. Oh yeah, look, there it is again. My internal sat nav telling me that I'm going to be okay. And it's like as soon as we notice it, all that crazy thinking starts to lose its grip a bit. Doesn't feel quite so intense. So it's on the way, it's going, it's shifting. So, and the way I see it is a feeling that intelligence has to it. That's the kind of feeling that we want. Yeah, it's like when we hear that, we kind of feel okay. And then when we listen to the crazy thinking, we go as far away from feeling okay as we possibly can.
Yeah.
So you kind of have a choice, like, oh, which direction do I want to go to? Do I want to go towards that calmer feeling? Do I want to go back to the more drama feeling?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Where does it make a sense? Does it make a sense at here? Or does it make sense like, oh no, that feels kind of true?
I suppose like well, yeah, putting it into practice, I suppose, is more difficult, but
Well, you know, often we don't see this in real time,
yeah.
but the more we spot it, so even when we reflect on it, we go, oh yeah, that's my system, that's how it works. The more we spot it, then actually the more we do spot it in real time. There are always going to be times when we don't.
Yeah.
Nature of being a human being. So it's not really about kind of putting it into practice because it's working anyway.
Yeah.
You know, this is our experience. We're just kind of unpicking it and making the, I don't know, something that's usually invisible to us a little bit more visible. That's all we're ever doing. It's like, oh yeah, I can see that. I can see how that was working there. So it's allowing us to be more aware of what's going on. But what occurred to me when you were talking was, isn't it interesting how the feeling all feels the same? You know, like natural Jen and how she feels kind of feels the same as when you're listening to that voice that's telling you you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Do you mean natural Jen in a like confident state?
Yeah, and in when you were with your friends, because that's kind of natural.
Yeah. Yeah, it does, yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just it's just interesting because like I said, like yesterday I did actually feel like that. So
So when I say natural Jen, what I'm referring to is Jen without the thinking, without the worry thinking, or I'm wondering what other people thinking, or
yeah.
messy thinking. So when you're not doing any of that, this is how you feel. That's you. So the stressful thinking or the insecure thinking kind of is taking you away from that and giving you a different feeling, because it feels differently, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And when we're there, when we're in that insecure thought, we're not really seeing the world very straight. If you think about how you were at university, we don't really see things very straight, do we?
Yeah.
It's kind of filtered.
Yeah, I always used to think like, you know, when I was doing my uni work, oh, I can't see the wood through the is it that saying you can't see the wood through the trees?
Yeah, no, that's right. And there you were doing all this great work and you never saw it.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'd realised that straight like earlier on, I wouldn't have had such a stressful time in third year.
Well, you know, we don't know any better. You know, I was the same. We don't know any better.
Yeah, no, and yeah, that's true.
And we're only doing our best. We're only ever doing our best with the thinking that we've got. Right? So you were doing your best. But now we can look back and gain more understanding from that situation. And think, oh, when I'm in that feeling, when I'm feeling like that, it doesn't even really matter what thoughts you're doing, but when I'm in that feeling, I'm not seeing the world as clearly as I could be.
Yeah.
I'm not showing the world Jen in her natural state.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Again, I just thought of a situation at uni where I had an assignment that I'd gone to the library and it was like the day before and the deadline, and I was just stressing out about it. And for some reason, like I just could not like get my head around it, and I must have, I've never really been in this kind of state before, but I literally just could not write. Like I literally was looking at a screen, and it was like 12 o'clock in the library, and I was like at 12 o'clock at night, and I just could not write. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And my friend said to me, "You're going to have to go." She said, "Don't worry, go to the student support desk tomorrow and ask if you can extend the deadline." And I think that was the point where I'd like obviously reached burnout. And yeah, it made me realize that, yeah, well, I should have. It's just interesting what you say about like just knowing and like almost like just learning what you know remember what's happened in the past. um yeah, knowing yourself, I suppose, and like knowing what, yeah, because that was, yeah, because then it was absolutely fine, and I didn't think they were going to extend it, but they were absolutely fine about it. They were really nice. And then I managed to do it, and I ended up getting a first in it. But yeah, it was just crazy that I just could not like put pen to paper and write anything.
So what feeling were you in then?
Like absolute dread and panic, thinking, "Oh my god, I'm gonna fail my third year."
Yeah.
like the world's gonna end, even though it wasn't.
Yeah. So when I'm talking about, oh, the feeling of Jen in her natural state, like how far away was that feeling?
Very far, like a worlds apart. Very far.
Worlds apart. So the experience that you were creating wasn't giving you that feeling at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when we're in that state, we think that it's giving us information about the outside world. So your mind was saying, well, they're not going to extend, it's going to be a disaster, it's so like not true. None of that was true. It was so distorted.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes we can't help that. That's just where we go.
Yeah.
But knowing in ourselves, oh, I'm in that feeling, I'm not seeing this straight. It gives us more information about where we are and the decisions that we make and how we are. And we can be more compassionate to ourselves, more understanding that it's not that we're being given information about a particular set of circumstances. So when we lose that lovely natural feeling and we're in a meeting and we're thinking, oh my goodness, I think I'm awful, I'm not making sense, this is the worst meeting ever, I'm going to lose this contract, I'm da 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 da. And as soon as we notice that and we think, right, I'm just in a really unhelpful feeling right now. And it's like we know, oh, okay, there's no information there. I don't know what these people, my thinking can't tell me anything about what's going on outside, about what the consequences are going to be, what people are thinking, how I'm showing up. Like my head's just not in the right place. That's it. All of those thoughts are just telling you about your state of mind, not about the circumstances. And we notice it. Well, I find the easiest way to notice it is the feeling that I'm in. I know when I'm feeling off. It's like driving down the motorway, and when you kind of hit the rumble strips,
Yeah.
It's horrible, isn't it? It makes that awful noise. And it makes the car go, it's not a nice journey.
Yeah, you just reminded me of like driving back in the torrential rain from like where I think it was Hull to Leeds, because my parents live in Hull, you see. I remember just completely freaking out, and I was on my own. Absolute freaking out. Although I think, yeah, no, I think it's happened on my own and with my partner in the car. And when my partner was in the car, I managed to like calm myself down. No, actually, I was probably more stressed. But I think when I was on my own, I had to get on with it. So I didn't have anyone to ask. So
But it's a bit like that when we get stressed. It's like driving down the rumble strips.
yeah,
So we're just being told by our own system, oh, okay, I'm off track. I'm off track here. I'm not seeing it straight.
but it's like but then how do you actually like talk yourself out of that though? Do you know what I mean?
Don't need a how.
Just yeah.
You've already shown me 2 examples of when you sort yourself out, and then you've just told me a third one.
That's true, yeah.
You don't need to work it out.
Yes.
Your system works it out for you.
Yeah. Which is good.
On you to sort it out.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
It's noticing, to me anyway, it's noticing what is and what isn't, right? So what is in that situation is that, oh, I've noticed that I'm on the rumble strips now. I've noticed that my state of mind isn't helpful. I've noticed that, yeah, my mind's off track, right? That's what has happened. That's what's real. Yeah. What isn't real is the information that you think all of that insecure thinking is telling you. And that's so often the mistake we innocently make. So it's like, oh, I'm stressed. And my thinking is telling me all this useful stuff that I've now got to listen to.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't focus on what's real. We focus on all this other stuff that is a complete illusion and completely not real.
Yeah.
We try to fix it, and then we try to fix the stuff that it's telling us about, and we get into awful tangles because none of it was real in the first place. Now, sometimes it might take us a while to cotton on that it isn't real, depending on where we are in our state of mind. But the important thing is when we notice it, and we let it go. We don't focus on what isn't real. We focus on what's real.
Yeah. And I suppose the more you notice, the easier it sort of gets.
It's one of those weird kind of things. I was going to say, is it a paradox? I think it is, that actually the less we do with it, the richer our lives become, you know, when actually you think you'd have to do more to get a better quality of mind.
Yeah.
Actually, the more we just let the system do what it needs to do, and we don't try to control it or fix it or dive into it, or the easier it gets. Because it's designed that way.
Yeah, which is pretty good, really. It's pretty.
Yeah, so it's really intelligent. So how is that? Has that been helpful?
Yeah, it's been really helpful.
Good.
I think now what's going to stick in my mind is like noticing. I know you've said it before, but like really noticing those times. when I've done things and got out and changed my thought process.
Yeah, notice how incredible it is. It's an incredible system, and we all have it, every single one of us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Good. Brilliant. Well, just let that settle for a bit. Don't think about it too much, and just see what pops into your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will do. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're really welcome.
It was really good to have a one-to-one, to be fair. Yeah, thank you for that.
Happy. Are you happy for me to put it? I mean, it has been recording, but I'll only post it if you're happy.
Yeah, that's fine by me. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that, because I think the others may well find it helpful too.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, I shall see you. I think it's in a couple of weeks, isn't it? I think is our next session, or it may even be next week.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, but let's look.
Look so that everyone's on that. No, it is indeed next week. So
okay, cool.
Brilliant. Okay, sure. I shall see you then.
Oh, thank you. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Speak soon.
Bye. 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 Bye.